So this should be a pretty interesting game. PvP on this map I have not played yet. I have casted a lot of Grubby PvP in the past, and he has some really interesting openers, does a lot of blink into Oracle play, so we'll have to see if that's what he wants to do. I'll just put you guys in the game as well, so you can see everything that's going on as I see it. See if these guys are ready. Let's get rid of the music here. Looks like they're ready to go. So yeah, this is a 3-player spawn map. It's pretty unusual design. I think the biggest concern is going to be holding a 3rd base on this map, so we may see some 2-base timings. But this is yet another one of those maps where there's really small choke points everywhere, and obviously whoever can put their opponent in the choke point when they fight is going to win. Or at least most of the time. So we'll have to see if that's what happens. Let's figure out who's who here. As we can see, Grubby is the green Protoss in the bottom right of this map. And Gemini is sticking with teal, but I had to talk with my friend the other day to deciding if this is actually what teal looks like. He was saying teal has more green in it. What's the verdict, Mandy? What color is this? Is this color teal or is it cyan?
It's
ocean blue. Okay. Morning mist. All right. The morning mist Protoss is Gemini, the bottom, or rather, on the far left side. So. Pylon coming up here now for Gemini, and I don't think these guys have played before, but they definitely know each other. So I know they know each other, and I know they've seen each other play, but we'll have to see what build these guys both open with. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. PvP is just kind of one of those matchups where we're just going to have to sit there and wait until something happens. So in the meantime, if you guys have any friends that are fans of Grubby, let them know that he is playing on stream right now. Hook up the link on Facebook or Twitter or whatever you want to. Well, obviously, gateway for both these guys coming up here. You wouldn't expect anything else. The next little decision between these two guys is going to gonna be how many gases did they take and when do they take them. So we'll have to see what happens with that. So it looks like just one gas for both of them right now, but a second gas is being queued here for Gemini, I believe. So is he going to drop that? Yeah, it is going to be double gas for both players, actually. So both of them on basically identical build orders right now, but the deviation will be once the cybernetics core finishes up. You're going to see who gets a faster mothership core, whether they go sentry or stalker first, or if they just go straight into tech. Obviously, each one has their trade-offs and downsides, so we'll have to see what they want to do. But there's really not a whole lot to say up until that point. I guess right now the interesting thing is that Gemini is denying a little bit of mining, and he will scout out Grubby that he has on double gas. The other little interesting thing is that Grubby is mining from 3 on each geyser, whereas Gemini is mining with only 2. So Grubby's going to have more gas by the time the decision is made as far as which tech to go. So this may impact what we see, but sometimes they just use that extra gas to buy a stalker and then do something else, or buy a sentry and do something else. So it's hard to say. The core timing is faster here for Grubby, though, which is, I think Gemini actually missed that. I feel like he missed a pylon by just a little bit and then missed his core by just a little bit, so that might have impacted just a little, but we're in the day and age where that doesn't matter as much anymore. And yeah, like I was saying, some people with this extra gas just grab a sentry and a mothership core and don't show their tech right away. That's exactly what we're seeing from Grubby, but a lot of times with the sentry first, that can indicate Stargate. Considering you do get a faster scout, you can tell what decision you need to make with your Oracle by the time that comes up. So we'll have to see if this is Stargate, but it really seems like that so far. Gemini also getting a sentry, so no, actually it's going to be a Twilight Council here from Grubby. So I guess this is just to hallucinate when the time comes, and it is going to be a Stargate for Gemini. So yeah, I mean, the sentry is probably just going to be to hallucinate and figure out what his opponent is doing, so he can determine, okay, if I make a robo, which I most definitely will, what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to make an observer? Am I supposed to do nothing? Or am I supposed to make an immortal? And that'll give him at least information to make a smart decision. So Twilight Council's finishing up here. We can't see his resources. He does have enough for Blink, which I would imagine nothing else. And yeah, he starts Blink right away. So this is an interesting matchup when you get Blink against Stargate, considering Blink can do okay against Oracle, but I mean, it usually favors the Blink player by just a little bit, but there are some weird circumstances where you can get into like Void Ray builds, and it is going to be a Phoenix first, so I do like the Phoenix first better than the Oracle first in this circumstance, considering he's going to figure out what's going on. And sometimes you actually can get this Mothership core if you're willing to sacrifice your Phoenix a lot of the times. And that's usually a pretty a decent trade. It at least allows them to not sit as safely at home with the mothership core doesn't have any energy. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. And here's the robo coming down here from Grubby like we were expecting. Since he sees Stargate, it wouldn't really make sense to make Immortals right away. It depends on what else the production is from the Stargate user, and it is going to be another Phoenix. So we will see if he continues to make Phoenix here. Yeah, third Phoenix. But once you see Blink coming up like this, which Gemini now knows, you should start to figure, okay, do I cancel this Phoenix and do I make a Void Ray? You kind of do have to keep an eye on when their expansion comes down here. There's also a pylon coming down here from Gemini, so is he just going to be aggressive off of this Stargate play? The fake Oracle here is pretty smart, kind of warranting an odd response here from Gemini. And Grubby is now moving forward with these Stalkers, so this can get scary because once Blink finishes up, if Grubby has a lot of units warping in here and there's nothing to respond to it, if he takes the Nexus, and this is really bad, Grubby's going to be really licking his chops after seeing this. He could probably just make a couple rounds of Stalkers and kill him right now, considering there is nothing at home. There's money spent on a Nexus that's not doing anything. The Phoenix are totally out of position. The Sentries are still here. He needs to... Okay, no, he just blinks right past it, and I think this is actually just going to end the game. Really be careful with these Stargate, and yeah, he just says, oh my, GG. This is why you really need to be careful with those Stargate builds, because if you scout out Blink, almost always you have to just stop your Phoenix and make Void Ray instead. So, I guess that was a pretty straightforward game, but we'll get into the next game as soon as I can. I'm just going to wait for a map pick here from Gemini. Alrighty. Gemini, your map pick is what, sir? So hey guys, thanks for hanging out on the stream today. Of course there are the commands here, and you can type those in at any time in the chat and my bot will jump on it and say, hey, I have information for you. And the information will be corresponding to what you want. So look out for that. Of course, if you do have a few dollars to spare here and there, anything will help out. Our friend Kyle, who was in the car accident, he is recovering, and honestly, these type of accidents, you'll be there for a long time, and it costs a lot of money and time. People often want to take a lot of time off work, so things like rent and whatnot get forgotten about. So there's a lot of different ways that the money can be applied, and it really would help out a lot to anybody that donates. So I really appreciate you guys supporting the cause here. So we're jumping into the next map. It is going to be Deadwing once again, which I guess we'll put the theory to the test and see the spawn positions of these guys. But every single time I played on this map, it's always been the close third spawn position, so we'll have to see. See if these guys are ready to go. As soon as these guys are ready, we will get started here. And of course, always the bot does just drop in the replay from the last game. Unfortunately, on the delay, the bot drops it in like just letting you know that the game is about to end on this type of stream delay, so that's kind of unfortunate. I guess I'll have to compensate for that a little bit, but yeah. Looks like that was a quick game end. So yeah, PvP on Deadwing. If this is a really close third base, then weird situations like Blink and maybe even Tempest might come into play. Honestly, this is the type of map where you might see Tempest like every game from Protoss, regardless of the matchup. Especially if it's really common to hit these close thirds, but just the architecture really favors Tempest a lot. So we'll have to see if we see anything weird like that. I would love to see that in a PvP, like a Tempest versus Tempest type of thing. See if who can get there first, what kind of weird situations can spawn from that. And look at this, the spawn positions are exactly the same as last time. So Grubby's in the bottom left, the green Protoss, and Gemini's in the bottom right. So especially with the small little walkway here, we could see some super weird stuff come down from both these guys, something that you would just never see in PvP. So I don't know. Every single time I played on this map, it has been these spawn positions, so I don't know if it's even possible to spawn cross, or rather close by, I guess it's closer by, that's not even closer by ground, that's just kind of like a less close spawn, or cross spawn. I haven't seen that happen yet, but I don't know if it's possible. I haven't played enough to actually figure that out, but after 4 games, 4 or 5 games at least, are the ones I played on, it's always been close third spawns. So I don't know if that's actually a thing. So we'll have to see. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with that. We'll have to wait again for the core to come down to see what these guys are doing, but I guess we could talk a little bit about the last game and the fact that if you open Stargate like that and you see somebody opening Blink, you need to be very much more reserved about what comes out of your Stargate and when you take your Nexus, because he took a Nexus, he missed a force field, and he's dead. Even if he got force fields there, he'd have to cancel his Nexus at minimum, and he'd have a really hard time breaking back down because he would have nothing to break force fields. He wouldn't really even have enough to fight the Stalkers. So that's why Stargate builds are really fragile, and why you need to really temper what you produce off your Stargate when you have that type of information. So both these guys going double gas once again. Like last time, we figured that one of them was going to go Stargate after opening Sentry, but we'll have to see if we see something different. I'm almost feeling DTs here out of Grubby, just to kind of throw something a little different at him and put him into a faster expansion scenario than last game, considering Gemini may play a little bit more reserved than last game. Here's Gemini getting the scouting information he wants. Now, the other interesting thing about this is that if it is close third spawns, which it is right now, you could always just take this third instead. But then the naturals are still really close by these rocks, and there still is these positions where you could possibly put like Tempest back here and hit the mineral line, and then just have some type of support just waiting on this bridge if they try to come down, or maybe even force field or something. I don't know. I'm telling you guys, once this map gets into WCS, you're gonna see some completely off-the-wall stuff that you never see, only because of the map architecture, and it's something that a lot of people might not pay a ton of attention to. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see, but we're going to definitely see some weird stuff come down, assuming these close third spawns do stick around. So both these guys going Stalker after their gateways, or rather after their cores finished up. Neither one of them getting a mothership core, though. Both of them only mining with 2 on gas, at least at first. Gemini's now mining fully, and Grubby's still not. So this almost seems like a faster expand build out of Grubby. Maybe just off of 2 gates, but the pylon coming down here is a little suspect. I guess at minimum this is just a scouted Nexus, so I'm not sure what Grubby's plan is. He still is just scouting around for proxies and whatnot. Still hasn't seen anything quite yet. No tech indications shown from either of these players. Grubby is dropping a 3rd gateway, so a little bit of aggression is going to be put on here, and this is kind of one of those plays that's like, you know, maybe I can just pick up an easy win here and not really have to think about this game. And it might work, because there's no tech coming down here. At least the 2 gates from Gemini is smart. A 3rd gateway even on the way now. So this could just be straight up gateway versus gateway micro, which you don't see too often in PvP anymore, but we're going to see this game. Unless one of them figures that they're safe enough to just drop back and take a Nexus, but I really doubt that. At the same time, Gemini is dropping a Stargate, so... And Grubby drops a Robo in response. Or rather, not in response, but just that's the section of his build. Gemini is all over scouting these things, and he still might have missed this pylon. The mothership core is kind of getting stranded out here and needs to be really careful. Could just park it over here and keep it safe from the Stalkers at least. But now he traps these Stalkers. A 3rd Stalker's on the way, and a 4th. So now all of a sudden Gemini has to fall back, but he does get a Stalker kill, so that's a good start. But he's going to lose one of his own. And down it goes. So... this is a weird circumstance right now, as both players are on 3 gates. Grubby's gateway tech was a little faster, and Gemini is going to lose the mothership core, and yeah, he tried to recall, but the mothership core still died. Almost would like to see him just start again right away, but the Stargate is done. It's starting at Oracle right away. I'd almost think a Void Ray may be a little bit better in this circumstance, considering it is going to be aggression that he's seen out of Grubby. But either way, this is going to come to a head really quickly, and there's no mothership core, so Grubby might just straight up win this game right now. And that would be pretty unfortunate for Gemini, just to be killed by 2 really silly builds in a row. But that's kind of looking like what it's going to be here. The pylon is getting super close to being killed, but Grubby's just focusing on Stalkers now, realizing that he has a greater Stalker count. The Oracle comes out. It may change the battle a little bit, but I don't know. He turns it on, and here we go, trying to warp in the best he can. You could actually use the Oracle to focus down these Zealots. Might be a little bit better use of its energy, but he decides to continue to focus on Stalkers, trying to keep it alive the best he can. Now he starts to target Zealots, and it's just going to die anyway. And yeah, I think Grubby's just going to kill him with this timing here. Unless Gemini pulls probes and somehow gets a really good trade out of this, and he'll be okay, but that's going to be pretty hard to do. He does pull probes now, and this Zealot's like, oh man, that's exactly what I wanted. Starts to whack down a couple of probes here, and yeah, that should pretty much end the game here. As Grubby just says, okay, I'll just see if I can kill you with this, and he's able to. So